The race to represent South Miami-Dade and the Keys in Congress is now getting national attention because it is considered a toss-up district. Democrat Debbie Mucarsel-Powell is the incumbent there, finishing her first term.
Her opponent in November will be whoever wins the Republican primary on August 18th. Miami-Dade Mayor Carlos Jimenez is the frontrunner. His opponent, Omar Blanco, is a veteran Miami-Dade firefighter paramedic, past union president, and right here to make his case for Congress with us today. Good morning.
Omar, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Michael and Glenna.
So I just want to go on record as saying, I know how tough it's been for you to get any kind of television time, newspaper time. COVID has sort of shadowed everything, and right in the middle of COVID managing in the county is your opponent who gets lots of TV time. So why don't you just take a minute and make your case? What qualifies you to be a congressman?
Well, thank you for the question. I am a lifelong Republican who's lived in Miami-Dade all my life. I am a first responder, lieutenant firefighter paramedic here in Miami-Dade. My wife is a teacher in Miami-Dade, and we're raising our two children right here. I think it's important that we elect someone who's going to be present and be a representative for the people of District 26. I've served, as you mentioned, as president of the firefighters for many years, and I fought not only for the health and safety of our firefighters at all levels of government, but even for our community, getting life-saving equipment and other important public safety issues addressed here. I have experience working on legislation while my opponent does not.
Omar, we are living, obviously, through the greatest public health crisis in 100 years in this country, and it is the main factor in this race. What has Carlos Jimenez done in dealing with the COVID-19 crisis that is wrong, or what would you have done differently?
Well, listen, in my work as a firefighter and a member of the urban search and rescue team that travels all over, having a command structure and collaboration and consensus and good old common sense are part of the decision-making process in any big major event. Unfortunately, my opponent has misled our community by placing the blame on local businesses, closing our restaurants' ability to survive themselves during this pandemic, which puts many of our constituents out of work. I believe that we've got to be able to get in front of the issues and not necessarily pander, but serve. I mean, my experiences as a first responder, as I walk into these neighborhoods, I walk into these homes, I talk to the people, I see what they're experiencing, and they're tired of the same old political games that are being played.
Yeah, Omar, excuse me, are you saying that the mayor was wrong in following the advice of epidemiologists and other scientists who said that COVID-19 spreads easily in enclosed spaces like restaurants? Should restaurants not have been closed to indoor dining?
I 100% that our restaurants should be given the opportunity, just like they did in our neighbors to the north and south, both in Broward County and Monroe counties. Our restaurants are given the ability to have the folks come in and eat. So yes, I do put that sole blame on on the mayor, my opponent. He hasn't been unable to work through collaboration and consensus with 34 municipalities in Miami-Dade, and now he wants to go to Washington to work with 434 congressmen and women. So,
all right, so
yeah.
So let's test the non-collaboration, because right now those men and women in Washington have not been able to come to consensus on any kind of the next relief. So let's take a virtual congressional vote. How would you have voted? What would you do right now about the next round of relief that isn't happening yet? Would you extend more the $600 a week federal pay? Would you do what the president did in an executive order because nothing else was happening? How would you protect future money and yet help people suffering right now?
Well, and that's exactly the problem, Glenna. Listen, we see what's happening. Congress has a 20% approval rating, and that's clearly because there's no collaboration, and the president had to step in and sign 4 executive orders. I would work just as I did to pass cancer coverage for our firefighters here in the state of Florida. I would work across the aisle and work with all my colleagues to pass legislation and pass, I would have, and you go back to your question, yes, I believe that we have to help those people in need. I think we have to make sure that we help people out of the system, not keep them in the system. And that's what's important. That's what we're seeing on the front lines. We have people who are receiving funding who didn't necessarily need it, but we have people who need it, whose lives are dependent on it, and they are. It's all being delayed because of the political rhetoric back and forth. So we need a representative that's going to be present and be about the people. We, the people of District 26, and that's my commitment to them.
Omar Blanco, we are so glad to have you on our program. Wish you luck in the August 18th primary. We'll follow closely what happens.
For the lightning round. You've got the lightning round. Omar, thanks so much.